Welcome to today's Explainer. If you're an engineering leader, a technical architect, or a software developer, you've probably noticed that the sheer volume of AI agent SDKs hitting the market right now is frankly overwhelming. It's confusing teams and eating up crucial development hours. So today, we're cutting through all that noise to unpack the complex landscape of AI agent frameworks for 2026.
Let's just dive right into the core dilemma here. With so many frameworks out there, how do you actually know which one is right for your project? Well, here's the secret. Choosing a framework isn't about finding the one with the longest feature list. It's about finding the exact fit for your specific context. There is no universally best AI agent SDK. The right choice completely depends on your organization's unique situation.
When you really think about it, there's an actual equation for production-ready systems. Framework selection equals your people, plus the problem, plus technology, governance, and operations. Choosing a framework turns what seems like a simple technical decision into a high-stakes strategic architectural blueprint. You can't just look at the tech in a vacuum. You literally have to evaluate your team's skills, the specific problem at hand, your strict governance requirements, and the real-world operational facts of maintaining the software long-term.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to tackle the framework selection challenge, meet the 5 leading frameworks, dive deep into LangGraph and the Microsoft Agent Framework, then explore the OpenAI and Google Cloud SDKs, take a look at CrewAI, and finally wrap up with exactly how to choose wisely for your team.
Let's kick things off with the framework selection challenge.
Before we start analyzing specific tools, we really need to understand why getting this choice wrong is so dangerous. It can introduce severe technical debt, operational constraints, things like security, strict governance, and your team's actual capabilities are absolutely non-negotiable for scaling. Without them, you risk building systems that are hard to audit and practically impossible to maintain. Choosing an SDK goes way beyond just comparing marketing features, If you ignore the operational realities, your automation strategy is going to hit a massive wall the second you try to scale into production.
All right, let's meet the 5 frameworks leading the market right now.
We have 5 distinct options on the table. And notice, we are not ranking these, because each one approaches development and orchestration in a completely different way. We've got LangGraph, the Microsoft Agent Framework, the OpenAI Agents SDK, Google's SDK, and CrewAI. We're going to break these down one by one, so you can see exactly where they shine, and just as importantly, where they might introduce some unexpected friction for your project.
Let's start by looking at our first 2 heavyweights, LangGraph and the Microsoft Agent Framework. So what makes each one different? Think of the LangChain and LangGraph ecosystem as this highly versatile workshop. LangChain gives you the foundational building blocks for connecting your models, data stores, and APIs, while LangGraph steps in as the precise blueprint for designing complex, stateful, and cyclical workflows. It's fantastic for rapid prototyping, making it a highly ideal choice for retrieval-augmented tasks or those really intricate multi-step document workflows.
But as with everything, there's a trade-off. The real beauty here is that the immense breadth of its ecosystem allows for massive flexibility. But on the flip side, you're going to have to build your own production governance controls. While having huge community support and all those community-built connectors is amazing for troubleshooting, that vast ecosystem can easily lead to decision fatigue. Because it prioritizes flexibility over rigid, out-of-the-box policies, you might find your team doing a lot of the heavy lifting to manually enforce enterprise governance.
Now, on the completely opposite end of the spectrum, we have the Microsoft Agent Framework. This framework is purposefully engineered for regulated industries and massive organizations that need intricate knowledge-driven automation. It lets you orchestrate specialized agents that collaborate seamlessly, and it relies heavily on semantic kernel for highly secure plumbing right into your enterprise data on Azure. The crucial takeaway here is that while Microsoft offers unmatched built-in governance and a ground-up enterprise security posture, it demands a major commitment to their ecosystem. You're getting sophisticated multi-agent orchestration, sure, but with a steeper learning curve and a ton of conceptual weight. Your architecture becomes tightly coupled to Microsoft's roadmap. It is an incredibly capable tool for sure, but it asks for serious buy-in from your engineering team.
Let's pivot now to OpenAI and the Google Cloud SDK. These two are heavily model-aligned toolkits, but they offer completely different deployment philosophies. The OpenAI Agents SDK takes a decidedly minimalist, pragmatic approach. Instead of some vast, sweeping framework, you get a streamlined, API-centric toolkit focused on core agent primitives, things like reasoning, tool use, and iterative execution. If your team already knows traditional software, this offers the gentlest learning curve for building focused tools, like a customer support triage agent or deep prospect research tools. You're basically reasoning about agents in code rather than learning a whole new abstraction language.
These clear, example-driven patterns absolutely prioritize developer velocity. You get fast prototyping with a low configuration design that naturally leverages all those rapid OpenAI model upgrades. But here's the catch. You are tightly coupled to the OpenAI ecosystem. And if you eventually need to scale into massive multi-agent orchestration or deep enterprise integrations, well, you're going to be building that surrounding architecture yourself. It trades away those high-level complex orchestration features for sheer simplicity.
Then we have the Google Agent Development Kit, or ADK. This is Google's official cloud-native pathway for generative AI. It gives you structural primitives for agentic reasoning that are grounded seamlessly in Vertex AI, Gemini, and Google Workspace. Basically, if your team is entirely bought into the Google Cloud ecosystem, this is your definitive architecture. The deep integration with Vertex AI and Workspace tools is a massive advantage if you're already living in that ecosystem. But you are making a deliberate bet on Google's long-term commitment here. This means your deployment infrastructure and your data residency become entirely dependent on their cloud services. It's classic vendor lock-in. Plus, it's a newer framework, which means the third-party tooling and community support just aren't as extensive as some of the older players quite yet.
Next up, let's take a look at CrewAI.
CrewAI is fascinating because it totally abstracts code complexity in favor of pure organizational clarity. It's a process-driven orchestration tool that revolves around defining clear, human-readable roles, goals, and tasks for collaborative agent teams. By structuring agents almost exactly like a traditional business process, it becomes a phenomenal choice for handling sequential cross-team handoffs or complex content pipelines. You define the roles, the goals, and the tasks, and the framework simply handles the delegation. Its readable, story-like clarity is an absolute superpower for managing tasks and conceptualizing workflows. But it does sacrifice the lower-level engineering control you'd get with something like a state machine in LangGraph. It is wonderfully intuitive for business processes, but if your problem doesn't fit into a neat, sequential role and task mold, CrewAI might actually feel a bit restrictive. You get amazing managerial control over your agents, but less of that granular, minute data flow control.
Okay, so how do you actually choose wisely?
With all these distinct options on the table, how do you make the final architectural decision without falling into the AI hype trap? First things first, you absolutely must evaluate the hidden scaling and operational costs. Remember, these SDKs, they only define the agent logic. You are entirely responsible for the runtime infrastructure, the load balancing, and the scaling. And as workflows get more complex, the compounding cost of context and memory grows fast. You have to carefully manage tool call frequency, multi-agent coordination overhead, and those exponentially higher token costs.
To make your decision, follow this structured four-step approach. 1. Honestly assess your team's technical maturity and skills. 2. Ruthlessly scrutinize the problem's true complexity. Are we talking about a single task or a sprawling process? 3. Instantly narrow your field by layering in your non-negotiable data sovereignty and governance needs, because governance cannot be an afterthought. And 4. Initiate a tightly scoped, high-impact pilot program. That constrained pilot is your ultimate source of truth. It's going to reveal the real operational friction before you make a wildly expensive, long-term commitment to a specific vendor's ecosystem.
I want to leave you with this final thought. The right SDK feels like a natural extension of your team's capabilities, not a foreign piece of technology they must constantly fight to understand. Ultimately, you are making a foundational architectural choice here. The optimal SDK acts as a force multiplier for your specific team's culture. So ask yourself, does the framework's logic align with how your engineers actually think? Are you ready to confidently debug and extend it next quarter? Take a hard look at your current AI projects. Is the tool serving your team, or is your team serving the tool? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll leave you to ponder that vital question for your next automation build.